The morning of her wedding arrived with a mix of excitement and quiet fear. Sunlight slipped through the dressing room window, touching the white lace of the bride's dress hanging nearby. She stood in front of the mirror, her heart beating faster than usual. Everything felt unreal, like she was inside a dream that could break at any moment. The room smelled of fresh flowers and perfume, but her hands were trembling as she reached behind her back, trying to pull the zipper of her wedding dress up. No matter how hard she tried, the zipper refused to move. She took a deep breath and tried again, but the zipper remained stuck halfway. A small sigh escaped her lips as nervous thoughts began to fill her mind. Outside the room she could hear distant voices, soft music, and the quiet movement of guests arriving for the ceremony. Everyone was waiting for a perfect wedding, a beautiful moment that had been planned for months. But inside the room, she felt alone and strangely uncertain. Just as she was about to call someone for help, the door opened slightly and a quiet man stepped inside. He was one of the staff members working at the venue, a single dad who had been helping organize things since early morning. His calm eyes immediately noticed her struggle. Without saying much, he politely asked if she needed help. Feeling a little embarrassed but relieved, she nodded. Carefully, he stepped closer and gently held the zipper, making sure not to damage the delicate fabric. His movements were slow and respectful, focused only on fixing the small problem that had suddenly felt so overwhelming to her. For a moment, the room became very quiet. The soft sound of the zipper moving upward broke the silence. The bride looked at her reflection in the mirror, watching the dress finally come together perfectly. It should have been a happy moment, the final step before walking down the aisle. But as the man finished zipping the dress, his expression grew serious. He leaned a little closer, his voice low and careful, as if he didn't want the words to echo too loudly in the fragile moment. "I'm sorry," he whispered gently, "but your groom isn't coming." The words felt heavier than anything she had ever heard. At first, she thought she had misunderstood him. Her mind struggled to accept what he had just said. Slowly, the meaning settled into her heart like a sudden storm. The excitement of the morning disappeared in an instant. Her eyes widened as she stared at the mirror, no longer seeing the beautiful bride everyone expected, but someone standing on the edge of heartbreak. Her breathing slowed, and the room seemed to grow silent around her. The music outside, the laughter of guests, and the joyful preparations all continued as if nothing had changed. Yet inside that small dressing room, everything felt different. The world that had seemed so bright only moments ago suddenly felt uncertain, leaving her standing there in her wedding dress, trying to understand how a single whisper could change everything. Tears slowly filled her eyes as the truth settled deep in her heart. For a few seconds, she simply stared at her reflection in the mirror, trying to understand how the happiest day of her life had suddenly turned into something so painful. Her chest felt tight, and her hands trembled slightly at her sides. The beautiful white dress she had dreamed of wearing now felt heavier than before. Yet she didn't scream or collapse. The quiet single dad, standing beside her, watched with concern, giving her the space she needed while staying close enough to support her. The man spoke softly, his voice calm and steady. He told her that sometimes life changes in ways no one expects. But that didn't mean her worth or her future had changed. His words were simple, yet they carried warmth and sincerity. He wasn't trying to fix the moment or pretend the pain didn't exist. Instead, he offered quiet support, the kind that comes from someone who understands hardship. As a single father, he had faced many difficult days himself. In that silent room, his kindness slowly helped her breathe again. She wiped the tears from her cheeks and looked up at the mirror once more. The reflection staring back at her was still strong, still standing. For a moment, she thought about hiding in the room and letting someone else explain the situation too. The guests, It would have been easier to disappear and avoid the embarrassment, but deep inside she felt something stronger than fear. She realized that even if her groom had walked away, she didn't have to walk away from herself or from her dignity. Taking a slow breath, she straightened her shoulders and gently adjusted the dress. The single dad stepped slightly back, giving her space, but still offering a reassuring smile. When she reached for the door, he quietly opened it for her. The sound of music and voices from the hall grew louder as the door swung open. Guests turned their heads in surprise when they saw the bride walking toward them without the groom. The room slowly fell silent as everyone waited to see what would happen next. With calm steps, she walked forward and faced the crowd. Her eyes were still slightly red, but her posture was steady and proud. In a clear voice, she told them that the wedding would not continue because the groom had chosen not to come. Instead of shame, her honesty filled the room with a deep respect. People exchanged glances, amazed by the courage it took to stand there and speak so openly during such a painful moment. Among the guests, many noticed the quiet single dad standing not far from her side. He hadn't tried to take attention or interfere, but his presence showed silent support. Some people admired not only the bride's strength, but also the kindness of the man who had stayed beside her when everything fell apart. In a moment that could have been remembered for heartbreak alone, the room instead witnessed something powerful. A woman choosing dignity over despair, and a stranger proving that simple kindness can mean everything when someone needs it most.